a man takes off on a racial attack, juror number 8 or whatever. I loved that they never had names, only numbers.
Truth doesn't need decoration. Sidney Lumet understood that from his first frame to his last.
Gone down. That's for everybody. Guns are down. I told everybody.
He didn't make films about heroes. He made films about people, complicated, flawed, humans. For over 50 years, Lumet pointed his camera at the cracks in the system, at cops who bend, at juries who doubt, at men who break under pressure they never asked for. Lumet came from the theater. That's where he learned that actors aren't props. They're collaborators. He rehearsed like a stage director. Let actors find their characters through conversation, through argument, through honesty. He didn't want movie stars performing. He wanted human beings to exist. And the difference shows in every film he made.
Gordon Willis's work, the cameraman's work, is phenomenal. They are as close to perfect movies as I think exist.
This isn't about the biggest names, it's about the deepest work. Lumet had a gift for finding what actors kept hidden, the doubt behind the confidence, the weakness behind the strength. He created spaces where actors could be vulnerable, where they could fail, where they could discover something real. These 7 actors gave him performances that feel like documentaries. Like you're watching life, not cinema. Here are the actors Sidney Lumet trusted most, the ones who understood that honesty is harder than technique, the ones who proved that the camera sees everything, especially the truth. 7. Treat Williams. Treat Williams walked into Prince of the City carrying Broadway confidence.
That is really unique. I don't remember a courtroom movie in which a character was able to plumb the depths of his own soul.
He walked out carrying something heavier. The film is about a cop who becomes an informant.
I live with my partners. You people, you're just out to hurt us. You want to lay the whole fucked up system on us.
Who betrays his partners to expose corruption. It's 3 hours of moral collapse, and Williams had to carry every minute on his shoulders alone. Lumet didn't cast Williams because he was famous. He cast him because he looked like he could break. The role required transformation, from cocky detective to broken man. Williams had to show that journey in his face, in his voice, in the way he held his body. Lumet rehearsed for weeks before filming. Let Williams find the character slowly, painfully. What makes Williams remarkable here isn't the big scenes. It's the deterioration. You watch him lose pieces of himself scene by scene. His confidence cracks. His voice gets quieter. By the end, he's hollow. That takes control most actors don't have. The ability to diminish yourself gradually, to become less without becoming boring. Lumet said Williams gave him everything he asked for and more. He never protected himself, never tried to stay likable. He let the character become pathetic, desperate. That's courage. The film didn't make Williams a star, but it proved he could go deeper than most. Lumet saw potential in him that Hollywood missed, and for 3 hours, Williams showed exactly what that potential looked like. 6. River Phoenix. River Phoenix was 17 when Lumet cast him in Running on Empty, a kid playing a kid.
But basically, I think most courtroom dramas, the characters have to fit into the plot.
But not just any kid, the son of fugitive radicals, a boy who's lived his whole life underground. New name, new town, every few months. Phoenix had to show what that does to a person, the exhaustion of never being yourself. Lumet recognized something in Phoenix immediately, an old soul trapped in a young body. Phoenix didn't act like a teenager. He moved carefully, spoke thoughtfully, like someone who'd learned early that mistakes have consequences. That's exactly what the character needed, a boy who's never been allowed to be careless. The film is quiet. No explosions, no chases, just a family trying to decide if honesty is worth the cost. Phoenix had to anchor that with almost no dialogue in some scenes. Just his face, his eyes. Lumet trusted him completely. Let him find moments other directors would have explained. Phoenix understood. He knew silence could say more than words. Lumet called Phoenix one of the most natural actors he'd ever worked with. Said he never had to give him line readings or motivation. Phoenix just knew. That instinct is rare at any age. At 17, it's almost unheard of. They only made one film together. Phoenix died 6 years later, but Lumet never forgot him, said he would have built entire films around Phoenix if he'd lived. That's not sentiment, that's recognition of something irreplaceable. 5. Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway came to the network ready for war.
Between where the light crisscrosses and whatever the recording surface is, whether it's film or an image orthicon tube or what have you.
She plays a television executive willing to sacrifice anything for ratings.
We just increased our audience by 20 or 30 million people in one night.
Morals, relationships, human decency. It's a performance that could have been one note, a villain, but Dunaway made her complicated, desperate, almost sympathetic. That's what Lumet wanted, not a monster, a woman trapped by her own ambition. Lumet let Dunaway build the character from scratch. They talked for hours about who this woman was, what shaped her, what she feared. Dunaway brought an edge to every scene, sharp, hungry. But underneath, you sense the panic, the terror that she's not enough, that she'll be replaced. Lumet captured both layers, the armor and the wound beneath it. The film is full of big performances. Peter Finch screaming, William Holden judging. But Dunaway matches them all without raising her voice. She doesn't need to shout. Her intensity lives in her eyes. In this way, she calculates every word before speaking. Lumet said watching her work was like watching a chess master. Every move planned 3 steps ahead. Dunaway won the Oscar for Network. But more importantly, she gave Lumet exactly what his script required. Someone who could be brilliant and broken at the same time. Someone who proved that ambition isn't just about wanting more. It's about being terrified of having less. Their collaboration was short, but it produced one of the definitive performances of the 70s. And in Lumet's filmography, that's saying everything. 4. Sean Connery. Sean Connery was James Bond. That's all anyone saw, until Sidney Lumet saw something else. He cast Connery in The Hill.
I always think it's healthiest when there's every kind of movie around. I mean, it'd be very boring if it were only my kind of movie. And
A brutal military prison drama. No charm, no sophistication, just a man being destroyed by a system designed to break him.
Any serious illnesses?
Do you mean recently, sir?
Connery said yes without reading the full script. He trusted Lumet completely. The film is physically punishing, shot in black and white, set mostly in one location. Connery had to show exhaustion, real exhaustion. Lumet didn't let him rest between takes, kept him working in the heat, made the conditions match what the character experienced. Connery never complained. He understood what Lumet was building, something raw, something Bond could never touch. What's remarkable is how Connery strips away everything audiences expected. No wit, no elegance, just stubbornness, rage, the refusal to submit even when submission would save him. It's the opposite of everything that made him famous, and that's exactly why it works. Lumet proved Connery could act, not just charm, not just seduce, actually act. They made 5 films together, more than Lumet made with almost anyone. That wasn't an accident. Connery gave Lumet honesty, and Lumet gave Connery dignity. Away from the tuxedos and the martinis, Connery found roles that challenged him, that let him age, that let him be human. Lumet saw the actor beneath the icon, and once Connery felt that respect, he kept coming back, because respect from Sidney Lumet meant something. It meant you were real. 3. Paul Newman and Sidney Lumet made one film together, The Verdict. But that one film said everything about what they could have built. Newman plays a washed-up lawyer, alcoholic, desperate, taking one last case he's expected to settle. Instead, he decides to fight, and that decision almost destroys him. Newman had never played someone this broken. This was lost. Lumet didn't want movie star Newman. He wanted the version nobody talked about, the doubt, the fear of not being good enough. Newman was famous for confidence, for blue eyes and charm. Lumet asked him to bury all of that, to shuffle, to mumble, to look defeated before the fight even starts. And Newman did it without vanity. The film is about redemption, but not the Hollywood kind. This redemption is small, painful, earned through inches. Newman had to show that struggle in every scene. The way his character prepares for trial alone in his apartment, no music, no montage, just a man working because he's forgotten how to do anything else. Lumet let those scenes breathe. Let Newman fill them with tiny choices that build into something huge. Newman called it the best work of his career. Lumet called Newman the most generous actor he'd directed, because Newman understood that great performances aren't about dominating scenes, they're about truth. And truth requires vulnerability, requires admitting you're not the hero, just someone trying not to drown. They never worked together again. The schedules never aligned, but the verdict stands as proof of what happens when a great director meets a great actor willing to risk everything. 2. Al Pacino. Al Pacino made 3 films with Sidney Lumet, and each one shows a different side of what Pacino could do. Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, and years later, a small television film hardly anyone saw. But it's Dog Day Afternoon that defines their collaboration. Pacino plays a man robbing a bank to pay for his lover's sex change operation. It sounds like comedy. It plays like tragedy. Lumet cast Pacino when he was still relatively unknown, fresh off The Godfather but not yet a legend. Lumet saw what others missed, that Pacino's intensity wasn't just anger, it was need, desperation. The character in Dog Day Afternoon is in over his head from the first minute, and Pacino had to show that panic while also showing the love that drove him there. That's nearly impossible. Pacino made it look easy. The film is mostly improvised. Lumet gave Pacino the story and let him find the character in the moment. The famous Attica scene? That was Pacino reacting, creating. Lumet just kept the cameras rolling. He trusted Pacino enough to let him be dangerous, to let him go places the script didn't plan. That trust produced one of the most electric performances of the decade. What makes their collaboration special is mutual respect. Lumet came from the theater. So did Pacino. They spoke the same language. Rehearsal, preparation, honesty. Lumet never tried to control Pacino. He just pointed him in a direction and said, go. And Pacino went further than anyone expected. Their work together proved that the best directing is sometimes just getting out of the way. Just letting great actors do what they were born to do. 1. Henry Fonda. Henry Fonda made 12 Angry Men with Sidney Lumet. It was Lumet's first film. Fonda was already a legend, but Fonda believed in the project so much he produced it himself, took a pay cut, risked his reputation, because he believed Lumet could direct, and he believed the story mattered. That faith changed both their careers forever. Fonda plays Juror 8, the one man who votes not guilty, who forces 11 others to actually discuss the case instead of rushing to judgment. It's not a showy role. No speeches, no heroics, just patience, calm. The steady insistence that doubt matters, that a man's life deserves more than 10 minutes of conversation. Fonda had to carry that without ever raising his voice, without ever being anything but reasonable. The entire film takes place in one room, 96 minutes, mostly close-ups. That means everything lives in the actors' faces. Lumet rehearsed for 2 weeks before shooting. Let the cast become an actual jury. Let them argue. Find rhythms. Fonda anchored it all. Never pushed, never competed, just held the center. That's harder than it looks. It takes strength to be quiet when everyone around you is loud. Lumet said directing Fonda taught him what film acting really was. It's not about doing more. It's about doing exactly enough. Fonda never wasted a gesture, never added false emotion. He trusted the words, trusted the camera, trusted Lumet. And that trust created something that still feels urgent almost 70 years later. A film about justice, about doubt, about the courage to stand alone. Sidney Lumet never chased spectacle, he chased the truth. And these 7 actors understood what that meant. They stripped away the performance, found the person underneath, showed up without armor. In Lumet's films, you don't watch acting, you watch life, and that's the highest achievement. Who resonates with you most? Tell me in the comments. And hit subscribe for more stories about the directors who refuse to compromise.